I've really messed up, and anyone can see that. I actually killed him in cold blood. Did I do it to survive and save what I love, or was I blinded by lusts of both kinds? The position I'm in was not what I expected. My vision has been hindered, and I've ultimately constructed the end of my soul and sire. The hand and accessory to this travesty have blackened my soul beyond help from above or punishment below. His presence haunts me and reminds me what awaits beyond the veil. What is left is only to prolong crossing the veil. My fate is sealed, and I am condemned. The ill-gotten gains of my actions, riches and control, must be given up to take weight from my soul, but I cannot do so. The world is not governed by purity and kindness, but ambition and duplicity. However, beyond the veil, through the pearly gates, the rules change. Duplicity and ambition are seen as faults, not strengths, and serve none when they are presented with the image of their soul. The realization places many, such as I, on their own pyre. Repentance, impossible. Forgiveness, spent. Mercy, not worthy of it. What is left? Only to burn! I have betrayed my soul. How fire rages around me, and the force of the flame close in. The chains of condemnation bind and rend my flesh as it attempts to flee, while my soul accepts its fate, like lamb to a slaughter. Spare me, brother! Divine light, save me! My flesh, I command you to be like stone. My heart, I command you to be like iron. My ligaments, I command you to be like water. Allow my fate to be swift, and my words not in vain, dear brother. I really messed up, and anyone can see that. I actually killed him in cold blood. Did I do it to survive and save what I love, or was I blinded by lust of both kinds? The position was not what I expected. My vision was hindered. I have ultimately constructed the end to my soul and my sire. The hand and accessory to this travesty have blackened my soul beyond help from above or punishment below. His presence haunts me and reminds me of what awaits beyond the veil. What is left is only to prolong crossing this veil. My fate is sealed, and I am condemned. The ill-gotten gains of my actions, the riches and control, must be given up to take weight from my soul, but I cannot do so. The world is not governed by purity and kindness, but ambition and duplicity. However, beyond the veil and through the pearly gates, the rules change. Duplicity and ambition are seen as faults, not strengths, and serve none when they are presented with the image of their soul. This realization has placed many, such as I, on their own pyre. Repentance? Impossible. Forgiveness? Spent. Mercy? Not worthy of it. What is left? Only to burn! I have betrayed my soul. Hellfire rages around me, and the forces of the flame close in. The chains of condemnation bind and rend my flesh as it attempts to flee, while my soul accepts its fate, like a lamb to slaughter. Spare me, brother! Divine light, save my soul! My flesh, I command you to be like stone. My heart, I command you to be like iron. My ligaments, I command you to be like water. Allow my fate to be swift, and my words not in vain, dear brother.
There he is! There's Judas! Get him!
Hello. Now I'm going to provide an explanation of what you just watched and hopefully clear up a few things. So, the characters presented were King Claudius and then the biblical figure Judas Iscariot. So, I placed both figures in rocky areas because it represents how both of them are between a rock and a hard place. Judas is next to a tree because in one of the Gospels shortly after betraying Jesus, he hangs himself from a tree. And I thought that this, went nicely with his entire, conversation about what's beyond the veil and things like that, and especially if this was a potential pre-death soliloquy. I placed King Claudius on a mix of rocks to allude to the turmoil in his soul, but also the emotional pain that the prayer was causing him, which is similar to the pain the pain I was experiencing while kneeling on them, because the rocks were digging into my knees and shins, which, what I was wearing wasn't exactly the thickest material. So I chose to stage the soliloquy outside so I could draw from my surroundings and get inspiration from it. So most of my decisions were, a spur of the moment type of thing, because, well, King Claudius and Judas wouldn't have had time to plan their soliloquies, so I wanted to make it as natural as possible and try and embrace the character as much as possible. Like, for example, in King Claudius' soliloquy, the entire, white rock, black rock, and the casting away the white rock, and that was just a spur of the moment thing. And it was, and I later realized, oh yeah, that's King, throwing away the white rock was King Claudius casting away his purity and accepting what he had done. So I chose to stage it in a pre-dawn light to ensure that it wouldn't be interrupted by people, because of course, as you saw, I was, yelling and screaming about hellfire and condemnation and things like that. I also didn't want to have any traffic noises because there was a road about 500 feet behind me. Of course, you didn't see it in the film, but yeah. I also wanted to use the natural shadows and the sun because, both of them are in a very dark moment in their lives. And also the sun, looking into the sun was, helpful with the entire, heavenly imagery and, pearly gates and things like that. Through costuming, I had King Claudius wear the crown he did, because it kind of represents a crown of thorns, and it represents my interpretation of how he's suffering righteously, kind of like how Jesus suffered righteously for the world. Because I feel that King Claudius was playing his role, because we all saw how Hamlet spiraled after his father's death, and that was even before he figured out that it was Claudius that killed King Hamlet Sr. So my thinking is that if Hamlet had ascended to the throne, upon the eventual death of his father, he would have still spiraled in the same way. So King Claudius's actions helped reveal the monster inside of Hamlet, and they were able to take care of it before, Hamlet, became unstoppable as the undisputed King of Denmark. I had Judas wear the black robe, and it was a simpler robe to represent a simpler background, and it was dark in color to represent, the darkness that was inside Judas's soul. And yeah, as I said, I tried to be as natural as possible with this. So I had very few stage directions when I was performing the soliloquies. And yeah, and all the hand motions and everything was natural. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it opens your mind to new interpretations.